Today I'm going to talk about how we did the sink and our greywater system in the Sprinter van. First we made a template for the hole we were going to cut. So Michael made a template for where the sink is going to go. And this is our water spigot. It's a baby. And we're just going to sit it on here. This is just the template. We're going to draw things. So that is going to get cut into, well, that is going to go in there once we clean it. And that template is going to cut right in here. So we're gonna have a hole about this wide where we're gonna have our sink mounted. And the sink, that is gonna be our clean water, where this water's gonna pump up and then it will drain into there, and that'll be gray water. And so all we have to do is make sure we empty the gray water every once in a while, fill up the clean water, and we should have a pretty simple sink solution. And then we had to make our final cuts. We did that thing where you measure like 14 times, cut once. It was really stressful. Michael said it was more stressful than cutting a hole in the roof or the fan vent. I'm not totally sure if I agree, but it was still like, can't mess this one up. After we cut a hole in the countertop, we had to mount the sink to the bottom. We didn't end up drilling through the metal, but instead we took a bunch of fender washers, tacked the sink to the madrone slab on the underside. Once it was secured, we caulked around the inside edge and the outside edge as well, just so we could seal it and make it as watertight as possible. So Michael just finished this sink situation. There is our little pump. It's gonna pump water through that white tube and come out there. That's the gray water, and this is the tube that takes the water up out of the clean water. The sink is a few parts. It's 2 5-gallon water tanks, one for clean water, one for gray water, one small pump we got off of Amazon, and a small spigot. They came together in the same box. One switch we got from the Restore, some rubber grommet material to seal around the mouth of the water tanks, 1/4 inch water safe hose, and then a lot of 2-inch thick water safety plastic pipes. This black piping got from the hardware store. The U bend is an attempt to kind of create a water trap so that the dirty water doesn't stink up the inside. And then the shape, we had to get like a whole bunch of like elbow joints, because this is a really specific shape and it has to also be kind of flexible. So this part of the piping is a little bit more flexible. And then this cap right here is actually the cap that came with the 5-gallon bucket. This right here is just some hose clamp to try and keep them together. And yeah, that's the water system. There's a cord coming out of the back that connects to the electrical. There's a set of wires that we've got running. There's like an offshoot from the fridge wires. Those wires actually go up to a switch. So there's the switch. When this switch is flipped up, you can turn that on. And I have a lot of dishes, as you can see. But when this is down, then that doesn't turn on. It does nothing, it just sits there. And so when I'm filling up the water tanks, I unscrew the piece that connects the water tank to the hose that goes into the water tank, pull out the hose, take the water tank somewhere cool and fill it up. The best place I've ever filled up my water tanks was in Fern Spring in Yosemite, and you just put your water tank underneath a waterfall and it fills up with like clear, fresh spring water, and it's the best water you've ever had in your life. But most of the time I just fill it up with hose water, gas station water, sink water, whatever. Emptying the gray water tanks is less fun. I have to unscrew the pipes and they leak and it gets a little bit gross. And I usually just take a paper towel and wrap it around while I unscrew and kind of stuff the paper towel in the bottom part of the sink to prevent it from getting really messy. And then I hobble over to wherever I'm gonna pour it out, dump it out, kind of rinse it off, hobble back into the van, put put everything back in and like reattempt to create that seal. So normally I try to find a nice piece of grass to dump my gray water, but if I can, I like to take it to RV dump stations just because that is a little bit more ethical. Gross in there. It's so gross. I haven't really found a good place to do this on the road other than into drainage ditches. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear from the audience. Like, where do you dump your gray water? This stuff is amazing. Another thing, I never dump my pee bucket into my gray water tanks. Like, my food is the only thing that goes down that sink, and I try my very best to not dump food down the sink. Like, it's literally just soapy water from dishes and from me brushing my teeth. But I don't really like how loud the sink is. It's hard to self-camp with it, but also it wastes a lot of water. So the pump that I got, I'll link to it in the description if you are interested in going with an electric pump, but it uses about 1 gallon a minute, which is kind of fast, and you can use one hand to turn it on and then one hand to wash dishes. So I'm not a huge fan. I'm gonna try and change it to a foot pump, and so it'd be quieter and I can use my feet and wash dishes with both my hands. If I do that, I will make a video about it, but right now it's just one of those things that I need to get done on the van and I just don't have time. So anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know, as always, down in the comments. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is One Chick Travels, where I post lots of videos of me rock climbing, traveling around the United States in my van, and hanging out with dogs. If you want to read about my life in 140 characters or less, you can follow me on Twitter at Kaya Says. If you want to watch these videos without ads, or you want to get updated on blog posts, you can check me out on Facebook, facebook.com/OneChickTravels. And then if you want to read more about how I did the build outs, van stuff, go to OneChickTravels.com and you will find links to everything in this van. You could buy everything in this van. Buy that, and these, and not the thing I'm sitting on. But anyway, go to OneChickTravels.com and I will see you next time.